Welcome to the program Global Weekly News, serial number 53. Last week, comrades, I completed 1 year of delivery of the program Global Weekly News. So this week it is going to be serial number 53. First, let us see regarding Pope meeting Cuban president. On 20th June, Pope Francis met Cuba's president Miguel Diaz-Canel in Vatican. Diaz-Canel is the secretary of the Cuban Communist Party. Meeting lasted for 40 minutes. 25 years ago, Saint John Paul visited Cuba. Pope and Diaz-Canel discussed about the situation in Cuba, charity activities by church, international issues of mutual interest, and both shared gifts presentations with each other. Cuba's president will meet the prime ministers of Italy and France as well. There is unprecedented economic crisis in Cuba due to US sanctions for over 60 years. Food, fuel, and medicine shortages are there. Pope Francis visited Cuba in 2015 and met the revolutionary leader Fidel Castro. He was sick at that time. Fidel Castro died in 2016. About a dozen people demonstrated against the visit of Cuba's president to Vatican. Cuban government arrested those who indulged in vandalism, loot, and public disorder in 2021. The protesters demanded the release of these persons. Second, we are going to see G77 plus China meeting. G77, Group 77, was founded on 15th June 1964. 77 non-aligned countries were members of G77. Now it is a coalition of 134 countries. The objective of G77 is to look after the economic interests jointly. Cuba is the chairman of G77 in 2023. Pakistan was chairman in 2022. G77 countries plus China took part in the International Financial Pact Summit. French President Emmanuel Macron spoke in the summit calling for finance solidarity with the global South countries. Conference of the Parties 26 and Conference of the Parties COP27 summits decided that the global North countries responsible for the major part of the world pollution shall finance the global South countries to overcome the catastrophic effects like rise in temperature, wildfires, increase in sea levels, and sudden hurricanes and storms with heavy rains. Lula da Silva, president of Brazil, took part in the summit. He pointed out that we shall discuss on inequalities in the world. Global North countries pushed humanity to inequalities. International financial institutions like IMF, World Bank are not doing any service to global South countries. Global South countries like Cuba, Zimbabwe, and Iran are affected by US sanctions. In G77 plus China summit, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel and Brazil President Lula da Silva set the agenda. Comrades, now we are going to see our Prime Minister's US visit, Modi's US visit. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi went on a 3-day US tour on a state visit. On 20th June, Modi met the private investors in USA. In New York, he took part in international yoga event. Modi was given a state reception in the White House. Modi addressed the joint session of US Congress as well. After becoming Prime Minister in 2014, Modi visited US 5 times, but only now he is on an official state visit. After Joe Biden became the President of US, only 3 leaders so far have visited US on state visits. They are Emmanuel Macron, French President, and Yoon Suk Yeol, President of South Korea, and Modi. These are the 3 leaders who have visited US on official state visits after Joe Biden took over as the president. When South Korean president visited US, he was advised to take anti-China measures. The US sought to bring India further into its strategy of encircling China. On 22nd June, after lengthy discussions, Modi and Biden released a joint statement. The statement stated that both the countries claimed they are among the closest partners in the world and they have a comprehensive global and strategic partnership. Both leaders expressed their mutual desire to increase cooperation on various issues, including trade, technology, climate change, and defense. The statement talks about both the countries believing in rule-based international order, their commitments to reforms in the United Nations, their commitment to global fight against terrorism, for secure and stable Afghanistan, and for democracy and human rights. The focus of the joint statement was India and US talking about strengthening their commitments to groups such as Quadrilateral, I2U2, and their enduring commitment to a free, open, inclusive, peaceful, and prosperous India-Pacific region. This was a reaffirmation to the Biden administration's attempts to build a global alliance against China. India is part of the quadrilateral group of countries, Quad, led by the US against alleged Chinese domination in the Indo-Pacific region. Other members of the group are Australia and Japan in the quadrilateral. The I2U2 alliance between India, Israel, United Arab Emirates and United States was announced in July in 2022 as an attempt to counter China's rising influence in West Asia. However, the Biden administration failed to get anything concrete from India on the latter's position on the war in Ukraine. Some of the major agreements signed during Modi's visit to the US include greater cooperation in the areas of semiconductors, critical minerals, technology, space, and defense. According to reports, US chipmaker Micron will establish a $270 crore semiconductor testing and packaging unit in Gujarat. The Indian government and Gujarat state government will be investing 50% and 20% in the project. In the field of defense cooperation, it was agreed that the General Electronics will produce jet engines in India in collaboration with Hindustan Aeronautics. Another agreement establishes a system according to which US Navy ships can use Indian shipyards for repairs. In the area of trade, India agreed to remove some of the tariffs imposed on American goods in the last few years. After the state dinner, Modi participated in a rare but brief joint press conference with Biden. Answering a question posed by a reporter of the Wall Street Journal, Modi expressed surprise at a question related to India's treatment of religious minorities, calling it as an allegation. At least 75 US legislators from the Democratic Party officially wrote to President Biden to raise the question of human rights and freedom of press with Modi. Some members of the Congress even boycotted Modi's address to the Congress. Both Modi and Biden mentioned that democracy is in their DNA. In Kashmir, there are no elections for more than 4 years. Article 370 and 35A of the Constitution were cancelled, were annulled. Modi has taken the weapon of common civil code to destroy people's unity. Both 4 labor codes and 3 farm bills were passed in the parliament without any debate. These are anti-labor, anti-peasantry measures. US has more than 800 military bases in the world. To retain its hegemony of the world, US is conducting aggressive wars and imposing illegal, inhuman sanctions on Cuba, etc. Their talk about democracy is a great mockery. We can say that they are joking. Is it not so? Comrades, the Elders Forum condemned Israel on 18th July 2007, on 89th birthday. Nelson Mandela, the warrior against apartheid, founded the Elders Forum, free independent organization. The elders intervened in major international issues like human rights violations, nuclear danger, climate change, etc. Many world leaders, after getting retirement from the high offices like Nelson Mandela, Jimmy Carter, UN's former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, Mary Robinson, the former President of Ireland, etc., are members of the Elders Group. Presently, Mary Robinson, the ex-President of Ireland, is the chairman of the Elders. Mary Robinson and Ban Ki-moon, the South Korean politician, as well as the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, both of them visited Palestine for 3 days. At the end of their visit, both of them issued a joint report condemning Israel's illegal activities of permanent annexations of Palestinian settlements and apartheid policy of Israel, etc. Israel is violating international laws and human rights. Israel is occupying Palestine's West Bank region. Israel talks about Jewish supremacy. Israel is not just committing ordinary crimes, but war crimes, the report has accused. Last year, Amnesty International also condemned Israel. Comrades, now we are going to see the protest in Ghana on a different issue, on a typical issue. On 22nd June, Ghanaian activists, the activists of Ghana, the African country, took to the streets for the Don't Tax My Period march, which is being organized by the Women's Wing of the Socialist Movement of Ghana and allied organizations. The mobilization took place as anger builds over the heavy taxation of menstrual hygiene products. Like in India, we use Whisper, etc., Stay Free, etc. Ghana is facing its worst economic crisis as rising costs have exerted pressure on the majority of households in the country. This crisis has more impact on vulnerable groups, including women. Despite the fact that about a quarter of the world's population menstruates, 50 crore people have been left without access to menstrual hygiene products. According to the Ghana Revenue Authority, menstrual hygiene products such as sanitary pads and tampons are classified under finished goods or final consumer goods. As a result, they carry a 20% import tax. Plus, not only is there an import tax on sanitary products, they carry an additional value-added tax, what of between 12.5 to 15%. Products that are otherwise classified as essential social goods are taxed at zero rate. Pan-African TV hosted a discussion on the issue. Ghana is set to impose a slate of austerity measures in line with the conditionalities attached to a loan agreement with IMF. There is a serious debt crisis in Ghana. IMF imposed austerity measures are notorious for diverting public spending from critical public services such as health care and education. Poor families have to spend 25% of their income towards purchase of sanitary pads, etc. Those girls who can't afford to buy napkins do not attend schools during their period. Similarly, young girls during their periods absent themselves from work. Next, we are going to Argentina, a South American country. Mobilizations continue across Jujuy Jujuy is a province in Argentina, a South American country, in rejection of the reforms to the local constitution promoted by conservative governor of Jujuy, Gerardo Morales of the right-wing party. On June 22, tens of thousands of people mobilized across the country as part of a national strike to express solidarity with the people of Jujuy and against the actions of Morales, the right-wing governor. As per the amendments to the constitution, indigenous people, with 90% of whom they have no title deeds for their lands, they will lose their lands to mine owners. Lithium is extracted from the mines. The amendments enable the governor to oppress the struggle of the peoples. Lastly, we are going to see what is happening in Mali, the African country. Sahel region of Africa consists of countries Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, Gambia, Guinea, Mauritania, Mali, Niger, Nigeria and Senegal. On 23rd June, a referendum was held in Mali on revision of 1992 constitution. Out of 84 lakh voters, 97% took part in the referendum. As per the reforms, civilian rule will be restored in Mali by holding elections for the president in February 2024. So far there is only military rule. So, by the referendum, civilian rule will again be restored in Mali and elections for the president post will take place in 2024 February. In 2020, massive demonstrations took place to expel French troops stationed in Mali. There was a coup. In 2020 August, Colonel Assimi Goïta took over power. In 2021, he became the interim president of military rule. French troops were stationed in 2013, 10 years before, in Mali and Sahel region to face the insurgency groups. Goïta asked the French troops to leave Mali in 2022 and people demonstrated in joy welcoming this announcement. Thank you, comrades. See you next week. Lal Salam.